afternoon once more. Yeah, I'm still Nation. And I'll be taking you through the giving students feedback. And in this session, we talked about giving who? Facilitator versus facilitator. And now we are talking about giving students feedback. This session is divided into 4 parts. The first part is giving feedback and then putting it together, addressing behavior, whereby we are going to get tips of how we are going to address different behaviors in classes. And then we are also going to look at behavior scenarios and challenge ourselves with them. So, just like we said, feedback. Feedback is supposed to help us grow. I am very sure that this is a familiar slide that we have seen when we were talking about feedback the other day. And just the same way we say that it's supposed to help us grow as well as to students. So in some instances, we'll be giving our students feedback, and our main aim is to do what? To help them grow. So giving feedback, how are we doing it? So we talked about the GIFT framework, and this is a refresher. What does G stand for? Anyone to read for us? Yes, Sarah? Get specific. And what did we say?
Share what happened or what you observe.
Yeah, you share what happened or what you observe. And then the I. Yes, Cecilia?
Be impartial. Don't interpret the facts, just say what happened.
Yeah, we talked about this. You don't interpret the facts, you just say whatever that happened. We are not sugarcoating it. That's what that we use mostly. And then the third is focus on outcomes. You explain what happened as a result of the behavior. And then lastly, Isaac.
Talk next steps. Discuss how to move forward.
Yeah, you discuss how to move forward. And how did we say we do it? Which is the best way to do it? About taking next steps. Anyone who can remember? Anyone? Yes. Yeah, we say here you co-create. As much as this is a student, we also expect you to co-create. So I believe since we have already practiced using it, it's now easier for us to practice. But this time round, we are practicing using it on a student, not a person like who we are maybe colleagues. So now we are practicing to do it on a student. There's this scenario here that I'd like someone to read it loudly before we practice. Yes, Mariam.
During a mentorship session, Said tells Maurice that he's stupid for not knowing what empathy is. As a facilitator, you explain that language is not appropriate and you are all learners. Over the next 2 sessions, you notice that Maurice has gotten even more quiet than usual and is not participating in the conversation. You think that this is because of what Said said, and you want to give him feedback and help him figure out how to speak to Maurice. Use the GIFT framework to share feedback with Said.
Yeah, now I want you guys to act as a facilitator in that class. I want you to take some 2 minutes and note down how you will give the feedback to Said. Okay, if you are done, give me a snap. Yeah, I can see most of you are done. Now, I would like to hear how you have tried to apply the GIFT framework to give Said feedback. Who would like to go first? Who would like to go first? Anyone who wants a chance to go first? It's your time to shine. Vera.
My response, Said, you told Maurice he's stupid for not knowing the meaning of empathy. In the recent lessons, Maurice got quieter and is not participating in conversations in class. How do you think we can come in to help Maurice gain back his usual composure in class?
Let's snap for her. Anyone else?
Said, you called Maurice stupid for not knowing the meaning of empathy. Maurice seems not happy and disturbed. What do you think we should do?
Let's give her snaps. Anyone with a different version? Anyone else from this side now, at least? Yes, the same.
Said, you told Morris that he's stupid for not knowing what empathy is. As a result, he has been quiet and not participating in class conversations. Due to this, Morris has not been the same. You should talk and apologize to Morris.
Okay, thank you. Let's give him some snaps for that response. From this side, let me hear from Brittany.
Okay, Said, you told Morris that he's stupid for not knowing what empathy means. This made Morris to be quiet in class. What do you think can be done to make him active again?
Okay, let's give her some snaps. And other people, what did you write? Be proud. Be proud of your products, your production. Anyone who is proud? Anyone? Yes, Isaac. Thank you.
Said, how are you? I hope he will respond. I noticed that you called Morris stupid for not knowing what empathy was. As a result of what happened, Morris has not been participating during our conversations in class. And so, I'm asking, how can we address this problem?
Let's give him some snaps. You can see there was some greetings. Anyone else with a different approach? I think Brandon.
Hello, Morris. I noticed that in our session, you told Said that he's stupid for not knowing what empathy was, and that has made Said not participate in the session. What can we do to make Said participate in our sessions? To make Said.
So let's snap for him. Yeah, and give each and every one of you who has shared one clap, one hearty clap. Let's go. Okay, so let us look at what I have here. Thank you all for sharing. I love the fact that most of you are trying to be specific, impartial, focusing on outcomes and talking next steps. So get specific here. During mentorship on Tuesday, you called Morris stupid. You see, that is very specific and as well it's impartial. There's nothing interpreted, just what happened is what is said. Focusing on outcomes. I have noticed that in the last two sessions, Morris has been more reserved and quiet. What do you think we can do to help Morris? You see, at the end, what will they do? They will co-create. What do you think we can do? No, what do you think you can do? You see? Yeah, so this is how we are expecting you to be giving feedback to our students. The same way you'll give feedback to your co-facilitator, is the same thing applies. I love the fact that he introduced the greetings, you also applied. We'll see its importance as well. Let's continue. So giving the feedback, this is how it should come out. So putting it together, how are we going to put things together? Feedback tips. This is also a familiar slide. One, can I read it loudly for her? Then you go this way.
Ensure it's a good time to talk.
Yeah, first thing, you always ensure that it's a good time to talk. Don't be that person who wants to sort things there just because you are the adults. I don't know, you want to tell this person, let's go outside, and the session is still continuing. Remember, our session, our goal is to ensure that our students attend there. So you ensure it's a good time to talk. Sometimes also the student we understand biology. When someone is angry, adrenaline and everything, emotions are high. So you have to make sure, even yourself, you know yourself, self-awareness, you know that this time I'm so angry I will not be able to listen to anyone. So you ensure it's just a good time to talk. Two,
Keep it private.
yeah, you keep it private. You don't start you remember during our times, that's the other years. You remember when we were still in school, the teacher on duty could just mention Madonna. Hey, that is not what we want things to happen. We want the child to feel supported and learn from the feedback so that they grow, not to pull them down, to push them down. And then the third one? Make it a conversation. Yeah, you always make it a conversation. You know, there's some people who will be like, let me now tell him that, let me give him feedback because he's younger. It's when mtoto wa juzi or something, you're calling them children, you want to quarrel, to shout at them. At the end, there might be no what? There might be no any like achievement at the end. Whatever you wanted to achieve might not come up. So you have to control your emotions and you make it a conversation. I love the fact that he started with greetings. Sindio? That's one aspect of trying and making it a conversation. And then after greeting, you go, you get specific. You're not going to interpret, and you apply the gift framework as it is. But you ensure that it's a conversation. When they want to ask a question, allow them to ask. Listen, I'm the one with the mic. No, make it a conversation. At some point, they might want to interfere. Just allow them to do it. Is that okay? And then the third one, the fourth one.
Be empathetic.
Yeah, we talked about empathy today in the morning, right? You also put yourself in the shoe of the child. If you are the one like being given that feedback, how will you feel? And like, you just be empathetic enough to ensure that you don't do what? That word. Anyone who wants to support? Yeah, you don't make it negative, feel negative or not supportive to the child. And then
Co-create next steps.
yeah, you have to co-create next steps. You don't, I don't want it to look like you are trying to give them like rules. So what I want you to do, go and apologize, and then you come back to me and tell me whether you have apologized. I'll also ask, that one will not like, he'll just do it for the sake because you have said it. So we always have to ensure that this part is achieved, and it's always achievable if we have tried and applied all these things. If it's a conversation, if you are being empathetic, if you have kept it private, and ensure it's a good time to talk. Because if it's not a conversation, how am I going to add up on anything that you want us to come up with? You end up with your question, I decide to keep quiet, and then you tell me, okay, next time we'll have to continue from tomorrow. So we have to ensure that we apply all these feedback tips. Any question up to that point? Yes, Billy.
On the issue of co-creating next steps, my question is, would it be ideal to have all the two parties involved, or I just take Salim alone and leave Morris out of the picture? What is the ideal situation to do?
Okay, thank you so much for your question. I'll allow the class to contribute in that. What do you think?
I think in the beginning, we've actually said that ensure it's a good time to talk. So if it's a good time to talk, then you have to ensure that side is actually comfortable talking about this issue with you. So you have to co-create the next steps with side first. You need to agree. Are you comfortable if we call Morris so that we can talk about this issue? So you need to do the co-creation, you and side first, both of you.
Yeah, thank you, Beata. Yeah, I think that answers it all. So you have to, first of all, give the feedback, and then when you're co-creating, you can come up with the suggestion, or he can come up with a suggestion that when I apologize, like, do you want it to be between like the three of us? Do you want to apologize like me being there while me I'm there? Yeah, so those are the feedback tips. Now let us continue our practice with the feedback framework. Who wants to read it loudly for us?
Over the past week, you have noticed that Nemo has been quick to give up when something is hard. In the last session, she was working with a group, and when the group didn't go with her idea, she stopped talking or helping the group. 2 days before, you noticed that she got frustrated when she wasn't able to write notes quickly enough. You are worried about her and want to understand what is happening. You decide to share your observations with her using the gift framework.
Okay, now I want you to look at that and see how you will do it. You as a person. Okay, I'd like to hear so that we see which models that you have come up with and the learnings that we are getting there. So let me hear from you guys. What are some of the feedback that you have created? Anyone? Anyone who wants to go first? Yes, Sarah.
Hi, Nemo. Over the past 1 week, I noticed that you have been quick to give up on something. You even stopped working with a group when they didn't go with your idea. And also, you got frustrated when you weren't able to write notes quickly. What can we do to address this issue?
Let's snap for her. Okay, before we even proceed, what do you feel about her feedback? Anyone who wants to comment on it? Does it have like all the elements, getting specific? Okay, let's hear from someone else. From this side. Today this side is so low. You're supposed to be participating, guys. Anyone from this side? Maybe Precious. At least we hear your voice.
Hello, Nemo. I have noticed over the past week you have been quick to give up when something is hard. Notably, in the last session, you stopped talking with and helping your group when they did not go with your idea. Furthermore, 2 days earlier, I noticed that you got frustrated when you weren't able to write notes. I am concerned and I'd like to understand what's going on and how I can offer my support or a possible way forward.
Okay, let's now for her. Do you have any other person who wants to let us know what they are? Yes.
Hello, Nemo. I have noticed that you give up easily. I am concerned and want to know what's happening and how I can help you be better.
Okay, let's now for Brandon. So I want you to let us discuss. What do you notice about this feedback that you are giving that 3 people have shared? What are some things that you're learning from? Reinhard?
I'm learning that they are precise. Yeah, they're not beating around the bush.
Okay, so I would like us now to look at how we address behaviors. I want you to take some time, like 2 minutes, or let me give you 3 minutes. This is a very interesting part. So I want you to take some time and try and reflect or remember one time that someone redirected or responded to your behavior in a way that made you feel heard and supported. And also, one time that someone addressed your behavior in a way that was negative. Can see you smiling. The second one, it looks like I'll get so many answers. It's a safe space, so let us try, and if you are ready, you can just raise up your hand. Anyone who wants to share? Yes, Suzy.
So I used to get very easily angry, and when I get angry, I respond in a very unkind manner. But my friend gave me feedback. She told me that it's okay to feel how you're feeling, but it's not okay to take it out on people. So that made me feel hard. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, one clap for her. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else who wants to share? Anyone else? Yes, Juliet. And then we go to Munira.
For me, I remember way back in high school, I had my best friend who, when we were at home, so I used to send her flashbacks all the time. Whenever I want to talk to her, I send her flashbacks. I flash her all the time. All the time. So one time she called me and told me, Juliet, one day you might be in real trouble and flash me the very same way, and I won't respond because I'm so used to you flashing me. So she told me, no, you have to have class and call me sometimes. And and I felt like she was being true. So yeah, that was good feedback for me.
So how did she deliver it?
She delivered it in a good way. Bougie, but good.
Like, was it, did you laugh, both of you, or it was very serious?
At first I caught feelings, and then later on I understood that it was from a point of love.
Okay, let's give her one clap. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else who wants to share a time that they were given feedback? Munira, I've remembered.
I have for the second one.
Okay, we can still get the second one.
Okay, for my case, it's we normally back at school. We used to go to class as a groups of ladies. So every time I will come from the hostel and wait for them outside the hostel. But when we are just walking, I tend to walk faster than the rest. So there's this one friend of mine said, you know what, you need to change your walking dress, like the way you walk. Sorry, the way you walk, because you are a lady. When ni mwanamke na unatembea na magwayo, I really felt it, but it was true, but I can't walk at a slow pace. It's just a behavior, like it's a character in me, yeah.
Maybe what made you feel like negative now that you...
It was in front of people and I hated attention and I felt like she could have addressed it in a nicer way than what she did. From that day, I never worked with those girls. I normally go to class alone. Yeah, I learned
Let's
it.
give her one clap. One clap for her, guys. And then we have Pendo. Pendo, you're sharing the first one or the second one?
The second one.
Uh-huh.
So during my internship, I was in a certain microfinance. So I'm very understanding. So when we go for debt collection, and then a client explains to me like, I'm having hard times, I'd be like, okay, you don't have to pay your installment today. I could add you some time, maybe by the end of this week, make sure you pay. So my manager used to shout, like, hiyo ni pesa mbona hujaokota? I'm like, niambie pole pole na mteja ameniambia hana pesa. Yes, so he used to tell me in a very aggressive way, but again, it helped me because these days I'm not understanding. Afadhali nilale hapo kwako mpaka niokote hiyo pesa.
Okay, thank you for sharing. One clap for her. Okay, yes, Cecilia.
Pendo amenifanya nikumbuke something that happened earlier this year during my practicum. So where I was, the hospital, the mental health department is next to the nutrition department. Then on tea breaks, the time we don't have clients, we used to meet the whole team. Then we used to make jokes and laugh really loudly. Then, you know, the next part is the nutrition department. And the head was just like, kazi yenu ni kucheka tu kama hao wagonjwa wenu. It was so bad. How do we behave like?
So, how did that make you feel?
Felt so bad. Like, what do you mean? Are we mad? Or
Okay, going back to that time, right now I can see you are laughing. Was it like this funny or funny at the same time?
No, we got angry, very angry. We really wanted to like call him out. It wasn't a nice thing. Yeah.
Sorry for that. Let's give her one clap. Men, we're encouraged to share. Let's speak. Who wants to share anytime? Yes, Billy.
I will tackle the second option.
It's okay.
All right. There was one time I was changing a certain tap. It's an arrow system. What an arrow does is it reverses osmosis. So it gets dirty kind of water and then it changes it to good water. So it has a filter and you need to open the filter. So the person who had given me that task, it took me a while, but I wasn't able to open that bottle cap. When they came back and found me still there, they shouted at me. That made me cry. Yeah, because I was very young. But yeah, because I had put all my energy to open it, it was refusing. Hata nilikuwa nimesha give up. So when akuja kanishautia, I just stepped out and got my tears rolling.
Have you moved on? Or you're still up?
Yeah, the way I can talk about it and laugh about it, I've moved on.
Okay, let's give him one clap for that. Anyone more male to share? We want to hear from you guys. Or anyone, any other person. Let me don't close for anyone.
In campus, I used to sing. I sing.
I still sing. So I sing. I think some people know. I sing. So this one time, or the first time I performed, we used to have a band room. Nilienda hapo nikaimba, ndio mtu akaniambia endo ukaimbia watoto huku hivi. Tunalala. But it helped me. So nilimfuata afterwards, and then I talked to him. His name was Osaga. He works with Okelomax, if you know Okelomax. Then kaniambia, nilikuambia hivyo ndo ukasirike, udecide kama unataka kuimba ama kama hutaki kuimba. So kama udecide kama unaweza imba, ndio sasa utaenda utareflect on yourself. Ilinisaidia sana. Nilijam.
That's the point. Let's clap for him. One clap. Any other person before we close the floor? Okay, maybe I can share with you. Most of us want to share the second one. Okay, yeah. So the first time I cooked, I cooked like, was it vegetables? So this time I cooked for the family. Nimejichocha, like, you know, when I was in campus the first year, I cooked for myself, so right now I know how to cook, so everyone is waiting for my vegetables. And remember, these vegetables have like meat, like combo, so that you are not expected to waste meat. And I'm there, so I cooked and then I served them. Then I was given this feedback, next time, make sure you cook more vegetables than salt. So, first of all, in the beginning, I did not get it. Even like the people who were sitting there did not get it. But when you will start working, it sounds to you like more vegetables than salt. What do you mean? So you mean I cooked like more salt than vegetables? Yeah. And from that day, I became very careful, especially when anytime I use Royco salt, I just stand far away and throw it so that it does not spoil it. So this is very clear that we can see most of us can still remember, like those things are very fresh when people addressed your behavior or something in a way that was negative, right? And we have seen someone mentioning that they were shouted to. There's someone who said that, Munira said, because it was in front of people, you didn't feel good. Like you can tell me, like you want people to laugh, so that makes so many people pissed off, and that is something that we've already talked about. You have to keep it private when it's really a matter to you. And then the other thing, sarcasm. Why should you apply sarcasm to correct someone? And you know that everyone has emotions, everyone has feelings, and that is something that some people will want to apply to our students. And we really discourage that. I understand we have grown up in African moms, families, and all that, but please, we want them to feel like a very different environment, and like you just give them a good feedback. So what I'm trying to say, the way you deliver your feedback really matters. It really matters. And this brings us to this quote here. Who would love to read it loudly for us? Someone who has not spoken today in my session, I mean. Anyone? Deborah. Okay, Deborah, read it loudly for us.
I've come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element in the classroom. It's my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher, I possess tremendous power to make a student's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and a student humanized or dehumanized.
Yeah, these are very important quotes for all of us. in this matter, we are teachers. Like we are like the teacher here. So you are very powerful. You are the adult in the room. And the way you will deliver it really matters. This one really explains itself. So let us move forward. There is a model here, managing behavior with respect. To avoid all these things that we have mentioned, to avoid someone feeling that they felt negative in the future when they're asked somewhere, like you guys, we have to adhere to this. One, you set clear expectations. That is something that we also did here. Things like norms. You set clear expectation. Here, we'll be doing this and this, respecting each other. You give each other time to speak. You set a very clear expectation so that it's also easy for you to go back and remind them, or when you're giving feedback or you want to address something in class, it's very easy for you. Make them there clear. Secondly, modeling. Model positive behavior. We want to model positive behavior. In what way? Yourself. Are you respecting them? Do you address them with respect? You want them to arrive early in class. What time are you arriving? Yeah. So if you want them, if you are teaching about time management, you know, sometimes it's so funny. You find a facilitator teaching about time management and themselves, they want to end the session like 20 minutes later. You see, like that is something if you remember your time when you are still adolescent, no one felt good when a math teacher was extending their lesson, or a Swahili teacher. Even, like, it never feels good when you see other students passing around and you are still in class. So you have to model the positive behavior, be the adult and also be the example to be followed. Consistency, be consistent. The way I have addressed this behavior of Kevin is the same way you address it of when it comes to Boniface. We don't have to see, we understand sometimes we might be tempted, in which we discourage to have a favorite student, and then like when this one speaks, you want to go and tell them, can you keep quiet in their ear. I've been dealing with gap year students and they have phones. They are Form 4 leavers. And sometimes you find someone using a phone and then you take it. You are supposed to confiscate it until like some day, then they come for it. But if I was not consistent, like I really don't care whether you are the president, you are who, whether you help me carry the projector, you just be consistent so that all students feel equal. And then the fourth one, acknowledge positive efforts. For example, there's an improvement. There's someone who has been coming late and today they came early. It's always good to appreciate them. You're doing a good thing. I can say today you have, or the whole class. Yesterday the class was dirty, but when I talk to you, there's clean. Can you clap for yourselves? So that at least you encourage that behavior to continue. You don't be that one person who always wants to see the bad. And then the fifth, evaluate the success. You want to look back and see if this model or this thing that we use to approach this approach that we use, how has it helped? There's this student who used to come late. I have given them feedback. Has it changed? Or you have put up the norms. Have they helped? Yeah, so that's how we are evaluating their success. Up to that point, do we have any question? So I believe this one, when we apply this, we are managing all the behavior with respect. It's also like go hand in hand with, let's say things like you want them to have good presentation, like the modeling behavior, and you are the first person who is not audible. They can't hear you at the back. So you have to also be audible enough. You do, when you want them to answer your questions in English, you're the first person who should be what? Speaking in English, right? Yeah, we have seen scenarios whereby facilitators decide to have like Kiswahili, it's our national language, but as well we want to encourage it, English. So you use English and model good behavior. Whatever that you want them to do is what you also do. Let us move forward. So redirecting behavior. How are we redirecting behaviors? We understand that these are teenagers and sometimes in class they can decide to be, to just disturb, to, you know, like we have seen the characteristics of adolescents. Their mind is still growing, so sometimes they just want to be, to see, like seek that attention or, yeah. So first, I think we can read as we go this way. Brittany. you use proximity. Who can tell us what proximity means? Who can try? Proximity, yes, Madonna.
For instance, you're there facilitating, and then Kevin is talking to Ibrahim. You move closer to him so that he can notice that you've seen what he's doing. And another one, probably the student is speaking and they are quiet. They are not audible enough. So you move a bit far so that they can raise their voice so you can hear.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's give her one clap. Yeah, so that's simply what proximity is. You move closer, or you want to address behavior. Let's say they're speaking, like she said. You just come there, like you are facilitating. As you go closer to them, you just find them stopping doing what? They just stop talking, like automatically, like it helps. And then the other example, when we want to build these students, we want to see them growing and be like good presenters out there. So when you realize that this student has that problem of speaking in low tones, when they're answering questions, you don't go closer. So Monira is saying, no. So what you do, you can move further so that you see her improving. Yeah, so proximity, that is one. And then the second one?
Verbally reset the expectation.
You verbally reset the expectation. We have said that here in the class, the first thing we do, we set the clear expectations, and these are the norms. So when someone disrespects someone in the class, for example, in some case, a student can call someone a name, or a student can just be cheeky and say something, you can always go back to the norms. What did we say about our norms? Can you remember point number 2? We say that we should respect each other. So let us stick to the norms. You just verbally reset the norms, because they are that's why we are encouraging you to allow them come up with the norms themselves. They always contribute, and they will give you whatever they want to follow in the class. Unless they forget something important, you can always add. And then the third point.
Make eye contact and use nonverbal redirect.
Yeah, this one is very familiar to us. Even in our families where we grew up, our African mothers, in front of, when we have visitors around and they are misbehaving, what are they doing? Yeah, even in churches, yani kuna ile macho, like you'll just be given an eye contact and we'll understand it. This means I should go out and not come back until they are gone. So, but you don't do it that way now. We are not encouraging you to be that dramatic. Is that okay? No, you just make eye contact when they are speaking, like they will realize that you are trying to tell them to keep quiet. So you are not going there to be dramatic. Ile Africa mother acheki na kena, sindio? Yeah, so that we laugh. But in class, you just look at them, you make the eye contact or non-verbal redirect. And then the fourth point?
Private individual correction when other students are engaged.
Yeah, so when they have insisted talking, or when they are doing something that is not supposed to be done at that time, you can always go and have some check-in with them when other students are engaged. Maybe group work, maybe turn and talk, so that it does not become a distraction to the entire session. So that's another way of redirecting behavior. And the last one?
Logical consequence, if needed.
Logical consequence if needed. And this, we are going to look at it further as we continue. So do we have any question when it comes to these ways of redirecting behaviors? Any question? Make sure you ask, because challenges will come even during when we are training. We don't want to see people surprised and stuck when they are not able to address a certain. So all of you are good. I have Billy there with a question.
My point and my question stems from private individual correction. For example, my teacher is my student, and she is engaging in a behavior that is not okay. For example, she's either disturbing a friend. So how do I now tackle that behavior while not deviating from the session? While also making it private.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. That's a very good question that might come up. Such a scenario might come up. Is there anyone who wants to try to answer him? Anyone? So you are saying that you don't want to distract the session. You are the one who is saying that. We have mentioned that we have these different things that you can use or you can apply. So one, it doesn't have to be private individual correction every time. You can always go closer to them. Now, you can always do a verbal resetting of the expectation, or if they insist, it's not bad when you tell them to change their position of sitting, their sitting position, come and sit here. Yeah, that is when they insist. So I hope you have been answered. And also, something else, we said that you are going to be facilitating like in pairs, and we don't expect the other pair to be, let's say it's consistent. It's something that maybe already the other co-facilitator should have already seen, because there's supposed to be a lot of teamwork. You're supposed to be present in that session as it goes on. So you look at the students, and if it's something that has been consistent, obviously the other facilitator at the back, that is why they sit at the back, they'll have seen, and you, other facilitator, you can check in and try to see what's happening. Is it answered? Okay, thank you so much. Do you have anyone else with a question? Okay, so I think we can now try and look at these scenarios here. What will you do? So this is a simple question. What will you do? So the first one, can I get someone reading it loudly? Yes, my church.
Student has been having a conversation with their seatmate during the mentorship session. You reminded the group that voices are off when others are speaking. You then moved closer to the student who was speaking. During group work, you quickly checked in with the student and reminded them to stay focused on the content you are learning. Now, the group is sharing out again. You notice that the student is speaking with their seatmate again.
What will you do? Let me see what you are thinking. What will you do? Yes, Precious wants to try.
I would just swap them, change the seating arrangement, ask another student to come here. Because if he or she is still speaking with the same student and not another one, that means that's the problem. Because if it is in a group, that means there are other students, but they're not changing the person they're speaking to. So just swap the person.
Thank you. Let's now for her. Anyone else who has a different approach? What will you do?
Okay, well, I think previously this also happened to me. Two best friends sat together and they were always talking. They always found a conversation out of anything. So when I noticed that, I literally swapped like 2 times in class. I swapped them. So this one continued to talk, and then I swapped them to the other side, and they noticed, and we also reminded them of the norms. Like, we have to respect when another person is talking, and this will not be tolerated. And we saw a change. But when swapping them, they knew that they are being swapped for a reason, so they knew they had to style up. So I think swapping can be the next best response.
Okay, let's snap for her. Okay, when we look at this scenario, the student has been having a conversation with their seatmate during the mentorship session. You remind them, you reminded the group that voices are off when others are speaking. You have already used one way of directing behavior. What is that? Verbally resetting. Then it does not work. You then move them closer. Then you moved closer to the student who was speaking. Which one is that? Proximity. During group work, you quickly checked in with the student and reminded them to stay focused on the content you are learning. This one is which part did you say? This one here, private individual correction, when others are engaged, which was group work. Now the group is sharing out again. You notice that the student is speaking with their seatmate again. So like they have shared, you can swap them, but do you leave it there? You don't have to leave it there. You now have one-on-one check-ins, whereby you will get them at the right time and the right place, private, and give them feedback on whatever that they have been doing. So you don't swap them and then you leave them there. And as I decide, as Ambazeuhu, I'm getting a new friend and then I'll continue. You see? Yeah. So that is what you can do. Let us continue. Behavior scenarios. I have variety of behavior scenarios that I want us to try and answer them. So the first one, who will read it loudly for us? Yes, Boniface.
During a class, Nandi raises her hand and shares an answer. You explain that the definition she gave better describes another term. You deliver this in a very neutral tone. Nandi bursts into tears and runs out of the room. Nandi bursts into tears and runs out of the room. What do you do?
This one is a very serious one. Anyone who wants to try? Yes, Brittany.
For such a case, I think now this where co-facilitation comes in, because you can't stop the session to follow Nandi and trying to tell her to drive whatever you are saying to help her understand. Now it's up to your co-facilitator to go follow Nandi and try to help Nandi understand whatever you're trying to mean.
Okay, let's snap for her. Pendo wants to say something.
I think I will agree to what she has said, but after that session, maybe you could also go and see Nandi and try to find out why she busted out into tears.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with something different? Okay, we can continue. We'll look at them later. The second scenario, who wants to read it loud? Yes.
You notice that Moses has been struggling to focus during class. On Monday, you had to stand next to him to help keep him awake. On Tuesday, he tried to participate but was silent and seemed too tired to participate. On Wednesday, he fell asleep in class twice. Usually, he is a very engaged student who participates fully in everything. You are worried by what you are seeing and want to find what is going on.
What will you do? Yes, Vera.
I would find time to speak to him privately, maybe during the breaks or something, and find out what the issue is. If it's something I can handle it, or my co-facilitator and I can handle it from our level, we will. But if it's something that would need, like the counseling department, maybe we'd refer him to them.
Thank you. Let's give her some snaps. Anyone else?
Okay, if it was a class here. Okay, on that Wednesday, maybe I would make the whole group do an energizer, if it is possible. If there is a time for that energizer, then I will notice the behavior afterwards so that I can understand whether it's something psychological or nile tu kuchoka.
So Brenda is telling us that she can try an energizer and see and assess. Let's snap for her. Someone else you want? I saw a hand up here. Juliet.
I also had a case almost similar as this one, but what helped me was also going through the activity packets, because in the activity packets they get to do a lot of self-reflection and they get to be themselves. So there was a student who was like that. I asked for the activity packets, and when I went through it, I noticed that the student was going through something very personal, and I got to understand that how they are responding is in relation to what they're going through at their home.
And what did you do?
Yeah, well, what I did was I talked to Frida. I took the case to Frida and told her, can you check on this kid? Because he has been behaving this way, and I read this activity packet. I think there was something going on.
Okay, let's now for her. Yeah, these are some of the tips that we all can use them when something happens. But let us continue. The third one, you walk out during break and notice an altercation between Samuel and Kimani. Samuel is yelling at Kimani, and as you get closer, it is clear that He's upset because he thinks Kimani said something inappropriate to his girlfriend. Kimani seems surprised by Samuel's aggression. You decide to intervene before the conflict escalates. What do you do next? What do you do next? Anyone who wants to give it a... Henry and Raphael. I think now we can hear your voices at least. We have not heard from you guys. Henry, and then Raphael can also give us your try.
Okay. When I intervene, I would try to, first of all, make the situation calm, and then try to listen to both the stories to see how I can address the issue, and then we co-create the way forward from both the parties.
Thank you. That's enough for him. And then Henry, what will you do? So it's already been said. Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wants to share theirs? I think we can move forward. Yeah, so these are some of the scenarios where you can apply logical consequences, where we were now talking about if needed. The first scenario, you make it right. Maybe you what did you do? When the first scenario, you say that this girl ran away, she ran outside, and you have to make it right. First logical consequence is making it right. When you go and meet them and decide to give them feedback, or when the other facilitator goes there, you say sorry. It's not bad when you say sorry to someone who is younger than you, right? So you said something and maybe it just triggered her, so you have to say sorry. And then the second one, we talk about make it up. Make it up. The problem was this particular student. What was the problem with the student? Who can remind us? Vera, the one who replied. Yes, Pendo. Yeah, and we talked about, there are some of you who mentioned that they will give them feedback one-on-one. She mentioned about looking at there's a same activity packet. So you make it up. When you give them feedback, as much as you have already talked to them and you have co-created, you have to finish up the incomplete work. You tell them that go and finish this. As much as things happen, he slept, the goal still, everyone is supposed to have every content that you are going through. So you go and tell them that we have to now finish up with the incomplete work. And then the third one, you make it better. You clean up the mess. After this, you have listened to them like you have mentioned. You have ensured that things are now calm. You have listened to both parties. You clean up the mess. You make sure that these students have really understood that conflict is bad and maybe forgiving each other. They're now good. You clean up the mess so that you don't have some behaviors in classroom, the heart rate or what. So you clean up the mess, you as the bigger person in that class. So these are the 3 logical consequences that you can always apply when such scenarios happen to you. We can note them down. Okay, so up to that point, do you have any question, or is there any scenario that you want us to help you and give you some suggestion of how you can sort it out? Something that happened to you, maybe you were here last time and you didn't know how to solve it, you want some help, this is the time for you to do that. If you have anything, you raise up your hand. Any question about redirecting behaviors? Okay, so from today, today's mocking, we expect you guys, as you act as students, please be a student. We want to challenge ourselves and see if we can really manage these behaviors in class. So don't be, have mercy on someone, but don't go to extreme. We don't have such students who will be so extreme. So we just want to see you guys practicing everything that we have just taught you. Do you have any question? Okay, if there's no question, asanteni sana.